with you a story, and with this story, I think it will help us understand a little bit. So until World War I, Eretz Yisrael was ruled by Turkey's Ottoman Empire. And after the war, the League of Nations placed Great Britain in charge of Eretz Yisrael. What happened is, in 1920, the British appointed someone named Herbert Samuel, he was a Yid that wasn't religious, to serve as the commissioner of Palestine, which meant that he was the main British official in charge of the country. Eretz Yisrael was going through change, and it really came through this man, Herbert Samuel. And one of Herbert Samuel's first official jobs was to visit the country's important rabbanim, the rabbis, and show them kavod, show them respect. And his schedule included a visit to the great big tzaddik, the tzaddik of Yerushalayim, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, the chief Rav of Yerushalayim, who lived in the old city. And Yosef Chaim lived in a very simple basement apartment. He had no luxuries, he didn't have anything, he didn't even have electricity. And Rav Moshe Blau, the administrator of the Agudas Yisrael, was arranging the meeting between Mr. Samuel and the chief rabbi, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. And he felt that out of respect, even though Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld was the Rav of Yerushalayim, the tzaddik, he felt that Rabbi Yosef Chaim's apartment was a little too simple for such an important visitor, for such an important meeting. And he asked Rabbi Yosef Chaim if he would agree to meet Mr. Samuel in a nicer, more suitable home. Yosef Chaim looked at the rabbi, the chief rabbi, and he said, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to refuse." And he said that it would be borderline sheker, it would be dishonest to make it seem as though he lived somewhere else. Rabbi Blau, understanding and of course respecting the Rav's decision, suggested another idea, that maybe they could buy Rav Yosef Chaim a new table and chairs to replace the old rickety, shaky furniture. And again, Rav Yosef Chaim refused again. And he said this would also be dishonest because it would make his home look different only for the visit. Rabbi Blau saw that Rav Yosef Chaim was unwavering. He would not change his decision and not agree to make any sort of modifications, any adjustments. He was going to be exactly who he was, and he's not changing. This is who he was, and if you want to meet, great. If not, okay. And therefore, Rabbi Blau went according to Rabbi Yosef Chaim's stance, his position, and he arranged the meeting for Wednesday at midday in Rabbi Yosef Chaim's own home in the old city. On the day of the visit, a group of police and entourage and officers all came and escorted the High Commissioner and the people traveling with him. The group, bringing in Mr. Samuel, made their way through the narrow, twisty alleyways of the old city, the Ir Atika, and finally they reached Bate Machse, which is where Rabbi Yosef Chaim lived. And when they finally arrived, Rabbi Yosef Chaim, he was wearing Big Day Yontif to show his honor and respect for the High Commissioner. And Sir Herbert Samuel, he was not only the commissioner, but he was also the representative of the King of England. He was a very important man, and Rabbi Yosef Chaim felt that even though it was a regular day of the week, but it was proper to be wearing Big Day Shabbos for this great meeting, for kavod, for a melech. What happened now was astounding. As Sir Herbert walked down the steps into Yosef Chaim's small little basement apartment, he looked around the little home and he jokingly asked Rabbi Yosef Chaim, he said, "You couldn't find a smaller, simpler apartment?" And Rabbi Yosef Chaim obviously understood the joke, and he turned to this important, very well-dressed Mr. Herbert and said the following. He said, "Please come with me to the window. I want to show you something." And you have to understand, what happened was the two men went over to the window, and from there they were able to see the Kaisel Maravi in the distance. But at that time, as we explained, the Arabs purposely, they were in charge, and they kept the Kaisel in a very dirty, very disgraceful condition. And today when we visit the Kaisel, it's clean, it's beautiful, it's shimmering, and it's pristine with the beautiful white rocks of the Kaisel filled with people davening. But back then, it was very, very different. The old city was controlled by Arabs, and they purposely left the Kaisel dirty and neglected. There was no large plaza, no place for thousands of Yidden to gather together, and it did not have the beauty and respect that we see today. And as Mr. Herbert and Rabbi Yosef Chaim go to the window, Rabbi Yosef Chaim pointed toward heaven, to the sky, and he said, look at the Kosel, with his hands up to Shemayim. And he said, if he can live like that, then I can live like this. And what Rabbi Yosef Chaim was telling Mr. Herbert Samuel is, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu can live in pain and his Shechina is in Galus, how can I live any better? I understand you were making a joke, but it's the most serious matter in the world. You made a joke about my apartment, but this is exactly why. I don't have air conditioning, I don't have nicer chairs, I don't have a nicer table, I don't have a roomy sitting area.